It started like a fairy tale. Pop royalty meets fashion icon. The media dubbed them a power couple. The photos, the red carpets, the wedding, it all looked perfect. But behind closed doors, that perfect picture has started to crack. And what's spilling out isn't just tabloid drama, it's the very real, very raw, and sometimes painfully relatable story of love under pressure. So here's the question. What happens when forever starts to feel like a deadline? Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It is free and help us bring you enjoyable content. And of course, watch till the end. This isn't just a celebrity story. It's a human one. About communication breakdowns, emotional exhaustion, trying to find yourself while also trying to hold someone else up. If you've ever whispered to yourself, "I love them, but something's not right," you're going to see yourself in this. Let's dive into the emotional roller coaster of Justin and Hailey Bieber, a love story that's lately felt more like a cautionary tale. Imagine being 25 and married. Not just married, but married under a microscope. Every outfit, every word, every Instagram post becomes a clue for millions trying to figure out if your love is thriving or dying. For Justin and Hailey Bieber, that's daily life. At first glance, they had it all. But happily ever after started unraveling in small, subtle ways: late-night arguments over nothing, passive-aggressive posts, lingering silences. You know, the usual signs things aren't okay, only amplified by 270 million Instagram followers. Hailey reportedly feels drained, like she's carrying more of the emotional load. Justin, on the other hand, has been candid about feeling broken, even confessing to exhaustion and anger issues. The tension is real. And it's coming from places we all understand: unmet needs, misunderstood intentions, and emotional fatigue. But what's really going wrong here? Stay with me, it gets deeper. Picture this. You're sitting across from your partner at dinner. You ask what they want to eat, and suddenly, boom, an argument. Not about food, but about everything else that's been simmering under the surface. That's reportedly where Justin and Hailey are now. Sources close to the couple say Justin's been picking fights over seemingly insignificant things like dinner choices, which are often just a cover for deeper frustrations. And then there's the silence. The worst kind. The kind that's not peaceful, but icy. In one of the more cryptic moments, Justin dropped a TikTok message that struck a nerve. "If you're giving me this silent treatment, at least tell me why. I shouldn't have to keep coaching you on how to not hurt me." That hits different, right? Because if you've ever been in a relationship where you're explaining the same things over and over again, emotional safety, kindness, how not to weaponize silence, you know how exhausting that can be. So where did this emotional gridlock begin? Let's rewind. Hailey and Justin are busy people. Like billionaire skincare line and global music icon kind of busy. But being booked and busy doesn't always mean you're emotionally available. And that's where things start to break down. Justin's been criticized for being unmotivated, while Hailey, who recently sold her brand for $1 billion, feels unsupported. And that divide between ambition and exhaustion is tearing at the seams. And here's the kicker. Justin reportedly feels like Hailey cares more about how the relationship looks than how it feels. That hits deep because in an era of filters, reels, and curated relationship goals, it's easy to fall into the trap of aesthetic over authenticity. But can love survive if it's more about the likes than the connection? The answer isn't simple, and neither is what comes next. In November, Hailey stood on stage at the Fashion Awards and publicly thanked Justin for supporting her brand and dreams. Her words were glowing. "I want to thank my husband for supporting this dream of mine from the beginning." But just 2 months later, she reportedly feels alone in her success. That kind of emotional whiplash is brutal, because sometimes in a relationship, one person's rising while the other's stuck. And if there's not shared growth, resentment starts creeping in like a bad draft in a cold room. Let's be honest, we all want our partner to cheer for us. But if you're feeling unseen in your own home while being praised in public, the loneliness is loud. So where does that leave them now? Hold tight, this is where it gets personal. I know I'm broken when the one you love needs healing in mid-June. Justin admitted something most people spend years avoiding. I know I'm broken. That's not just vulnerability, that's a cry for help. But what happens when you're the person expected to help someone heal while also trying to protect your own peace? That's where Hailey seems to be stuck. And it's where many of us have found ourselves, loving someone who is hurting, but realizing that loving them might be hurting you back. It's no one's fault, but it is everyone's problem. Because love doesn't always fix pain. And support doesn't always lead to change. So what now? Let's talk about the crossroad. Hailey has described Justin as her best friend and says she loves coming home to him. But she's also said this, trying to mesh my life with another human. Like, yeah, it takes work. It sure does. Marriage isn't just shared sheets and shared schedules. It's shared emotional labor. And right now, both of them sound like they're working overtime without getting paid in peace, affection, or clarity. So the big question isn't, are they breaking up? It's, can a relationship survive if one person is healing and the other is just holding on? We're about to explore that. Here's a truth no one likes to admit. You can love someone deeply and still feel like they're draining you. Sources say Hailey's at that point. Between the emotional highs and lows, Justin's mood swings, and the arguments, she's tired. And not just, I need a nap tired, existentially tired. We've all been there. When even your partner's breathing feels irritating. When you fantasize about a hotel room, solo, just for peace and silence. That's not failure. That's fatigue. Relationship fatigue is real, and it doesn't always mean it's over. But it does mean something needs to change. So, what would that look like? Time to flip the script. Let's get practical. Because behind every Instagram perfect couple is a mess of missed texts, hard talks, therapy sessions, or lack thereof, and maybe even sleep in separate rooms. If Justin and Hailey want to make it work, here are 3 things that actually help, for them and for us. 1. Radical honesty, even when it's ugly, not just, I'm fine when you're not. But I'm scared this isn't working. 2. Emotional timeouts. Not to run, but to reflect. Sometimes space isn't about distance, it's about perspective. 3. Third-party help. Not your mom. Not your friend. A real therapist. Someone who helps you listen and be heard. But most of all, they need to remember why they chose each other. Not just the wedding day, but the quiet mornings, the inside jokes, the tiny moments that made love feel like home. Because if there's still love, there's still something to fight for. So, is this the end, or just a rough chapter? It's hard to say. Some days it looks like a goodbye. Other days, it feels like a storm they're still weathering together. Relationships are messy, especially when they involve fame, pressure, personal trauma, and a million voices weighing in. But here's what's true. Justin and Hailey aren't aliens. They're just 2 young people trying to figure out love in a world that's constantly watching them. That doesn't make their problems less real, it makes them relatable. So whether they make it or not, this story is a mirror for anyone who's ever loved hard, fought too often, cried in secret, and wondered if it's all still worth it. You're not alone, and maybe neither are they. Before you go, what's your take on Justin and Hailey's love story? Have you ever been in a relationship that looked good on the outside but felt shaky inside? Drop your thoughts, share your story, or tag someone who's been there too. Let's talk about the real side of relationships, the hard stuff, the healing, the hope. Because love isn't just pretty. It's personal, and it's worth figuring out.